a guy who was on pace to make hundreds of millions of dollars. One of the best starts to a career of any closer in baseball. Already, this guy finished third in Cy Young voting, led the league in saves the past 3 seasons, was set to make how much money the next few years?
At least 26.
Reporter at The Athletic said, quote, "I have a hard time envisioning them ever pitching again." On July 3rd, Luis Ortiz was put on non-disciplinary paid leave after he was flagged for 2 pitches that were suspicious. So on July 15th, in the bottom of the 2nd inning against the Mariners, Ortiz threw this pitch. It's a first pitch slider way outside the strike zone. Then 2 weeks later, in the top of the 3rd inning, again, first pitch of the inning against the Cardinals, he throws this first pitch slider that was way outside of the strike zones. About a week after that, it comes out that an integrity firm, IC360, sent an alert to the sportsbook operators regarding Ortiz. Apparently, an unusual amount of money was wagered on these pitches being balls moments before they were thrown. They see that a lot of money went in on this pitch to be a ball, more money than should ever be going on for a guy to pitch a ball, and they turned out to both be balls. They said that's suspicious, so MLB said, all right, well, we got to investigate this. So Luis Ortiz, this guy makes league minimum. He's in his 4th season, but he's only really had, he's not pitched full season. So he makes $782,000 a year. However, he's pitched 4 seasons and has a 1.121 service time. That means he's made around $220,000 a year, which that's a lot of money to make. But when you're making $220,000 a year, you can't be convinced to throw a ball and you can make $10K on it, right? You can see that happening. You can see someone getting corrupted, taking that money and doing it, right? The way these organizations work, these integrity firms, and sports betting is legal now, and the leagues and the sportsbook know that, like, the big thing that can really fuck up sports betting for everybody is if these teams, players, referees, umpires start throwing games on purpose, changing the outcomes of the games because of sports betting. So these integrity firms have all the sportsbook data. They work with the sports books, and they track unusual betting activities. Most sportsbooks, I don't even think you can bet this. The outcome of a pitch in general is a very, very weird bet, rare bet. If you're doing that, you're probably very addicted to gambling. Let's say on an average day, $5,000 is bet on a first pitch outcome. And then one day, $200,000 goes down on a first pitch outcome. That's going to set off the alarms. Why is someone betting $200,000 on a first pitch? Why is this guy so confident? If they find someone's hitting like 90% on it, these integrity firms are going to see that and say, something's fishy's going on. Can't be that good at betting. They'll look into it. That's what they did with Luis Ortiz. But during this investigation, Clase comes up on their radar. 3-time All-Star, 2-time winner of the Mariano Rivera Award, best reliever in baseball since 2021, has the most WAR. He finished top 3 in AL Cy Young voting last year. The best relief seasons in baseball history last year. I think he finished with a .61 ERA. Okay, this is a guy who shouldn't be betting on his own games. You're probably going to make millions and millions of dollars. It's not worth it. Their investigation, they find some suspicious stuff with him too. There's no specific pitch that they flagged that we can point to, but people look into his numbers. Foolish Baseball found that 17.5% of Clase's first pitches are in the waste zone. Waste zone meaning way out of the zone, not even close to being strikes, compared to 5.2% of all his other pitches. So 5.2% of Clase's pitches are waste pitches. But when it's the first pitch of an inning, that number is 3 times higher. So that stat right there shows you that there could be a scenario where he's throwing balls way out of the zone on purpose, having someone else bet on it and taking the profits from it. He's thrown 22 pitches this season with a 0-0 count and the bases empty outside of the game day strike zone. 11 of those have been classified as uncompetitive. So that makes you think, although we don't have specific pitches, he was doing the exact same thing Luis Ortiz has been accused of doing. Apparently, these guys are very close. So this is according to Bob Nightingale, that Clase and Ortiz are close friends. The Athletic notes that Ortiz and Clase have adjacent lockers in spring training and bonded over their passion for chicken and horses on their farm. I'm not sure if this is relevant information or not, but I'm just I got to say the facts. The guys like chicken and horses. However, there are a couple things that might lead you to believe that Clase was kind of the type of guy who would do this. First of all, Clase did test positive for steroids back in 2020, so I don't know if that has anything to do with gambling, but maybe you could say this is the type of guy who's not afraid to kind of bend the rules a little bit to make a little extra money. Clase, who's made $15.3 million in career earnings. So on the surface level, a guy who has $15.3 million in career earnings, logically speaking, what you can get out of doing what is this? A throwing scandal. Like, I don't know how much money you can make on throwing a ball. The truth is, if you put $100,000 that you're going to throw a first pitch ball and you throw a first pitch ball, without a doubt, that's going to get flagged. It's a massive risk to get $100,000. A guy like Clase who has $15.3 million, you look at that and you say, you'd have to be the dumbest guy on earth to do this. However, there is some reasons to believe that Clase is in need for some money. He signed this deal with this company called, what are they called, Mitchell?
Finley?
It's a San Diego-based startup that offers athletes the chance to receive money in advance in exchange for a portion of their future earnings. So this company in July raised $315,000 from 282 investors who paid $12 a share. So more than $237 of that money went directly to Clase. So basically, Clase sold the rights to part of his contract. So you can buy a share of Clase. All these people bought shares in Clase's future. So they gave this company $300,000 that goes to Clase. So Clase gets $300,000 in the bank right now. All right, $300,000 in the bank account right now. Who says no? Now, in exchange for that, Clase owes this company 0.29% of his earnings. So basically, he's able to get an advance on his future earnings. That leads to me to believe this guy needs money now, wants money now. Why else would you do this? Which makes you think that he might be the kind of guy to try to make some quick cash and throw a ball on purpose. Not saying he's guilty. All I know is that if he gets in trouble for this, or if they can prove that he did it, he probably will never pitch again. Zach Missel, reporter at The Athletic, said, quote, I have a hard time envisioning them ever pitching again. And we've seen this in other sports. So Jonte Porter in the NBA did a very similar thing where some of his associates put a shit ton of money on all his props. And then in the first quarter, he leaves the game with an injury. All the bets hit and he gets a cut of the money. It gets flagged. Now he's banned from basketball for life. Padres player last year was banned from baseball for life for betting on baseball games that he wasn't even involved in. Multiple minor league players have been banned or suspended from baseball just for betting on baseball games that they had nothing to do with. Pat Hoberg, an umpire, had a shared betting account with another guy. There's no proof that Pat Hoberg bet on MLB games, but just because he was betting on an account that had bet on baseball, he got fired from MLB. So that goes to show you how serious they take this. Like, if you get caught for this, you are done. On the other end of the spectrum, we have seen people get investigated for stuff like this and get cleared. In the NBA, Terry Rozier was under investigation for this in 2023. He was cleared and he's playing in the NBA again. Governor of Ohio is already calling for Ohio to ban prop bets. Quote, first there were threats in Ohio on Ohio athletes, and now 2 high-profile Ohio athletes have been suspended by MLB as part of sports betting investigation. They want to get rid of prop bets, basically betting on a guy's individual stats. That's already not allowed in 16 states. In college sports, Oregon has banned betting on college athletics altogether. Basically, the logic is why they don't let you do this in college is because those players don't get any money. So the incentive to do this is way higher. Usually you think like an MLB player wouldn't do this because it's not worth it, because you're only really able to make a few grand and get away with it. If you're making millions of dollars, there's no point to do it. I will say, man, it's looking tough for Clase.
Yeah, they already cleared their lockers, both of the pitchers. That's normally a sign that they're not going to be back with the organization at least this season.
3-time All-Star. He has 2 reliever of the year rewards.
Million.
So that is $26 million that presumably he will not have if he's banned from this.